Nashville was my favorite because we got to go to all the honky-tonk bars and listen to the musicians up and down Main Street, visit the Ryman Theater, famous Ryman Theater, country music. Fantastic food in and around Nashville. We had quite a bit of free time.
I think my fondest memories are when, certainly the bowl game stands out because that was my first big duty. That was the first time that I actually was really, other than videotaping, doing some fun things kind of on my own, and they kind of just wondered who this guy was, but allowed me to do it because my daughter was in the drum line. I think that was a pretty big 4 or 5 days, but my fondest memories, I think, when my daughter was in the band and she was in the drum line, and I knew like almost everybody in the drum line. That's when Alan gave me my nickname of Papa Glenn, and all the kids knew me. It was a lot more intimate, like I said. Probably now there's a few that I still know from the older Casey Peace who started in the drum line when my daughter was in charge of the bass drum line, and Casey was on the bass drum line, and the fact that he's Bill's son, but he knows me really well. But when she was in the band, I just feel like I knew more kids, and that was a special time when kids knew who you were and a lot more about you and everything. Because I'm a big Disney fan. I go to Disney World 3 or 4 times a year, Disney cruises, so that was a big show for me. I was really disappointed that they had no way they used to do a really professional recording of all the songs back then and put them on a CD, and apparently because of the Disney copyright stuff, they couldn't do that with those songs. But that had to be my absolute favorite. This year they did the Lee Greenwood show. This year was a very good show, but the Disney show had to have been my absolute favorite. It was a big crowd favorite too. So
I think this year my 2 favorite shows was the Lee Greenwood show and also the Salute to the Military. That was outstanding, and most of the people that I ran into after that game commented about how great a show that was, the military show. And prior to that, I guess the year that they did the country theme, when they did Shootin' Boogie and
Sail Horse Ride
Cowboy, yeah. Because the color guard, they had the cowboy hats, and we're doing the line dancing, and it fit right in. And that was one of my favorite shows.
I have another favorite halftime show. It's a halftime show in which, for whatever reason, they didn't have someone to push the bass amp, and asked me if I would push the bass amp, and I said yes I would. And then somebody came up, and my daughter Lindsay was in the band, and it came up that Lindsay said I wasn't going to wear a uniform. And the minute Lindsay said I wasn't going to wear a uniform, I made it my goal. So I ended up, had one halftime show where I actually was in uniform and marched on the field with the band, pushing the bass amp. So it's like, that was a really special show to me because Lindsay was in the show and I was in the show. And I actually think it might have been when the high school band was there. I don't know why, because I remember my daughter Haley being there too, in band, in uniform. So, but yeah, that was I don't have any idea what songs we played, or anything, or what what we did, what kind of show it was, or anything. I just remember that I was in uniform on the field, and that's pretty special. So that's a memory I'll always remember.
The one with the stick figure, not necessarily this last one, but I think it was a year before we did a stick figure where the stick figure was kicking a football.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites is, again, not this year's military, but for this year's military, what was very good. But they had one year where they had a ship, that was moving down the field, and then they had a tank, and the tank tread was actually moving around as the tank moved along, and that was really cool. It's really tough because Dick and I ended up, we're on the sidelines because we're setting up podiums and different things for, you know, for halftime or pregame or whatever, so you don't get the really good visual. Now there's some fans, if they're fans up high, or somebody, you know, posts a YouTube video where you can see it from up high. It's amazing to see. You can't really conceive it like you can when you see it from way up high. So, but yeah, I like that one because I just remember the tank tread and the tank moving down the field. That was really cool.
I remember the funny things that happened at the Nashville, at the Music City Bowl. There were some funny instances. We practiced for almost 2 or 3 days at a local high school, and then we, of course, competed against the University of Minnesota marching band that Friday night on the street with judges, and the game, the Music City Bowl game, was that Saturday, and we had gotten all of the equipment and all of the uniforms and everything onto the trucks and headed off for the pro stadium where the Music City Bowl was being held. And we got to the Music City Bowl and they wouldn't let us in. And because we didn't have a pass. Well, we didn't know that we had to have a pass.
Yeah, we've been parking there all week.
Yeah.
We've been parking the trucks there all week. Like it wasn't any big deal.
Yeah. Of course, we were staying at the hotel close to the Music City Bowl, and so we had to have a place to park the trucks, and they allowed us to park the trucks right at the stadium. But come game day, they wouldn't let us in. So there we were looking inside the parking area. There was the University of Minnesota marching band, all of their trucks, all of their people. They were inside, and it was almost like we were refugees at Ellis Island. We couldn't get in. So we had to take the trucks, you remember?
Yeah, we had to go back to the hotel.
Unload all of the trucks.
And put all the equipment on the buses. And then come back over, ride the buses back over.
Yeah.
With equipment stuck everywhere, so.
Yeah. Kids holding equipment above their heads inside the bus. All because they wouldn't allow us for security reasons in there, even though our truck said Cavalier Marching Band, you know, University of Virginia, all of that. They still wouldn't let us in inside the stadium.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
And the same thing happened in Jacksonville. We wound up taking the trucks to Jacksonville. We arrived early, thinking that everything was going to be just fine. When Glenn and I got there with the trucks, we had no idea where to go. And none of the security people had any idea where we were to park or anything. And so we finally wound up unloading the trucks in an open area next to the stadium.
Yeah, kind of on the street, yeah, next to the stadium.
Next to the stadium. And we unloaded these Aquafina carts, which were overloaded with drinks and whatever. And in order to get to our seats, we had to go up 3 levels of ramps, passenger ramps. And Glenn wasn't involved with this, but
because I was unloading, yeah.
Pushing those fully loaded Aquafina carts up 3 levels to where our band was located. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever experienced. Pushing
you kind of left to do that. I know one was a big hand truck just packed full of water. I mean, it was ridiculous. That's crazy. we took the tuba stands down there and had them in the way in the truck and had to always move them to get stuff on and off the truck, and then some of them got broke and they wouldn't even fit in the seats in the stadium because they were the stadium seating as opposed to the flat benches that we have. So it's like they were brought. We used to say we were going to bring Bill's desk out of the office with us at bowl games because they took everything. You know, they took everything they could. Every piece of equipment, everything got loaded onto 2 trucks. We get the football truck from bowl games, so we take everything. So yeah, we used to joke we're going to put Bill's desk in there and take it to the bowl games because we took everything else. We might as well take his desk too. I'm not sure what happened, but we went downtown. Dick and I, we were staying. Unfortunately, they kept us. Our hotel was out on the beach. Apparently, both bands. That's what they chose to do, was put both bands up in hotels, different hotels out on the beach, and it was a ways into downtown Jacksonville. And we got there early.
A day early.
Yeah, we got there a day early. Dick and I got there a day early, and Mike Kidzior and Alan came. They drove one truck, and Dick and I were in the other truck, and we got there a day early, so we could get equipment unloaded and things kind of set up a little bit before the band got there. So, yeah, it's a joke. We decided that first night that we were going to take the truck and go into town by where the team was staying, and you know there was a waterfront area there. We would go down there and have dinner, and it ended up we were going to go to a Hooters, so that's always been a big joke of everybody's. But at some point something happened, and I did something to my knee, and I don't know, a twist in my knee. I think the situation started when we were loading the truck and we were stacking tubas. I was pretty much stacking tubas 3 or 4 high by myself, and I probably, trying to push up with, I don't know, I was probably originally injured there, and then also the fact of trying to drive the truck. It has 2 or 3 springs that make sure when you let off the gas that the gas pedal comes back up, and so it took a lot of pressure to hold the gas pedal to the floor, which is basically what we did when we went on the interstate. And a combination of all that, and then I twisted it. I remember getting out of the truck and walking across the street, and then a police car came by. We weren't sure where we were going, so we stopped to ask the policeman where to go. When I turned and twisted back around and stepped back up on the sidewalk, something happened to my knee, and it just gave away completely. It was an excruciating pain, and so we couldn't do anything. I couldn't get back to the truck. We didn't know what we were going to do. The truck was like a block away. So Dick, who had never been in the truck, never driven the truck at all, had to actually get in the truck and drive it around the block and help me hobble and get into the truck. And when we got back to the hotel, they had to put me on the luggage cart to get me in the room. I mean, I could not move at all. And we called Ethan Saliba, who was, the team
He's a head trainer.
And asked him, if he could, if there's anything he could do, if he could get somebody to see me, because it was either that or I was going to go to the hospital or something. So we ended up seeing the team doctor, and he looked at my knee, and I had to kind of take it pretty easy. That put a lot of emphasis on Dick. But Bill and Drew were on the way to Jacksonville on buses, and probably from a phone call from Michael Idzior found out that I had this injury, and so then they decided to call me and pretend they were some doctor and ask us all kinds of crazy questions. But it was an interesting experience getting me back into my room, sitting on a luggage cart. So then the next year at band camp, one of the band camp games was to run me the length of the hotel on a luggage cart. Never knew what it was, never tore anything, and it's just, it was crazy, and they still kid me about it now. Between that and the few occasions I've had with the truck and running out of gas, which is a whole other story. They like to kid me about those 2 things to this day. So and then some of the other stories are like, what people have hit with the trucks. So we've all had our instances where we are not driving exactly like we should, and things have been hit. Anyway, my claim to fame is running out of gas. So.
I was actually sitting home here one night, about 10 o'clock at night, and I get a phone call from Glenn, and he had taken the truck up to have it serviced up at Hildreth in Stafford, and brought it back, and it was running low on gas,
Diesel fuel, yeah, it runs on diesel, so.
and he ran out of gas on 29.
Yeah, right before came clear from Stafford, they wouldn't give me, I didn't have money for gas, I didn't have a band credit card or anything, so I left Stafford thinking I had enough gas, and I got, it's probably 100 miles away, and I got within 2 miles of University Hall, and ran out right in front of the post office on 29, just sitting right there in the middle of the road, so. And it was famous that Bill would come by, like they came by coming from practice, going the other direction, and saw the truck sitting there in the middle of the road. So it happened in Pittsburgh too. I ran out of gas in Pittsburgh because of the 2 tanks, and there's a hose between the 2 tanks that's supposed to equalize the gas, and the hose wasn't working right. So I actually had a full tank of gas and 1 tank that had run dry, and I'm sitting there on the side of the road because I got to Pittsburgh early for the game. And there go the buses by me. And I'm sitting there out of gas. It's pretty comical. I'm glad that I ran out of gas instead of demolishing a brand new Toyota Camry hybrid while I was backing up like somebody else did. So the trials and tribulations of truck driving, it's been pretty funny. So we can look back on it now and laugh.